Okay, here we go. We're reviewing 2-7 on page 621, and we're starting with number 1 at the very top. So these are just equations that we have to solve. We are going to use multiplication or division to solve these equations. We look at what's happening to the variable, and we're going to do the opposite. So on this problem, I see that negative 31 is right next to y. When two things are next to each other, it means what? Anybody remember? Cameron? Good. It's a B. Very, very good. Good questions. Okay. So Cameron said when two things are next to each other, it means multiply. So I have to do the opposite. I'm going to divide by whatever is next to y. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So what happens is my negative 31 divided by negative 31 is going to equal just 1 y or just y, which is exactly what I wanted. And then, who has their calculator handy? Okay, let's do 434 divided by negative 31. I got the same thing, negative 14. Okay, and that is it. Okay? Okay, number 2. Again, look at what's happening with the variable. X and 6 are right next to each other. That means what? Multiply, yes. So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to divide by whatever's next to X. And whatever I do to one side? Yes. I know I say this all the time, but that's because I want you to hear it in your brain even when I'm not around. You'll just hear Miss McNally's voice, and you'll solve the equations all correctly. Holden. Okay. What is negative 4.2 divided by 6? My calculator friends. Divided. Negative 0.7 is correct. Awesome. Let's keep going. Now on the next two, you'll notice I have fractions. Fraction means what? Divide. So to solve a problem that has a fraction, we have to do the opposite of divide, which is multiply. But when you divide fractions, you keep change flip. So every time that we have a fraction, we're going to flip it over and multiply. Okay, I'm waiting. Okay, so we flip the fraction and we're multiplying. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So what happens on the side with my A is I basically am going to end up with 12 over 12, and 12 divided by 12 is 1. Yes, yay, Tiffany, good job. Okay, so 12 divided by 12 is 1, so I'm just left with A. So basically what you'll hear me say is these cancel each other out. And I just have A, which is what I'm always looking for, just the variable by itself. Now on the other side, in order to multiply negative 12 times 4 over 3, I'm going to add that invisible what? 1. Good. And then I can multiply the top numbers and multiply the bottom numbers. So negative 12 times 4, for time's sake, I'm just going to tell you guys what it is negative 48. And then if I multiply the bottoms, 1 times 3 is 3. And then for my last step, I can divide, because remember, fraction means divide. So do negative 48 divided by 3 on your calculator now. Go. And A equals negative 16. Let's look at the last problem. Now this time I have a fraction with what on top? A letter or a variable. Good. So when I have a fraction with the variable on top, I'm going to multiply both sides by whatever is on the bottom. And what I'm technically doing is multiplying by 7 over 1 on this side to get rid of that negative 7 on the bottom. Okay? But when I write this, you're just going to see me write times negative 7. And so whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So when I multiply this, I'm just going to end up with 1b or b. So those negative 7s kind of cancel each other out. And then multiply negative 7 times negative 10. Bless you. What is negative 7 times negative 10? Somebody quick with a calculator.
0.
Mm-mm.
I want to do it. What? Because I did the last one. What's the fraction?
Negative 7 times negative 10.
Oh, that would be 70.
Yes. 70.
Good job, Bella.
So you just have to remember, when you have a fraction like this one, multiply by the flip of the fraction. Cameron, are you with me? Okay, you're not looking. When you have a fraction like this one, you multiply by the flip of the fraction, both sides. And when you have a fraction like this one over here, you multiply both sides by whatever is on the... Anybody?
Decimal.
Whatever is on the
Top.
bottom.
Bottom.
Okay, multiply by whatever's on the bottom. Yes. Okay, on number 5, I see what is sitting next to my variable. What is this?
It's a C.
What is next to the C?
Fraction.
A fraction. What do I do every time I see a fraction next to the variable?
Solve it.
How?
Flip it.
Yes. Flip it and multiply. So I'm going to put my little multiply dot and flip it right there. And whatever I do to one side,
Add to the other.
yes. So again, write it next to the other side. Cameron, are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. These two friends are going to do what?
Press each other out.
Yes, and I'm just left with C, which is what I wanted. Now on the other side, I've got to do multiplying, so I'm going to put my imaginary
Line.
My imaginary 1, yes. And then I can multiply the top numbers and multiply the bottom numbers. So, calculator people, 4 times 7.2.
$28.8.
28.8, good. And then 3 times 1? Yeah, just 3, good.
I'm letting Bella do this.
I noticed.
I already did all 4.
You did not do all 4 before. She did one of them.
Yeah, sure.
You said I'm going to let Bella do this one, so Cameron. Okay. Now I need to do my last step, which is divide. 28.8 divided by 3. Who can get that? 28.8 divided by 3.
9.6.
Thank you, Bella. 9.6 is correct. Okay, so number 24. We skipped down and we're going to practice 24 now. Look at what is happening to the variable. What does it mean when two things are next to each other? Multiply. So we're going to do the opposite, which is divide. The opposite of multiply is divide by whatever's next to the variable. Whatever I do to one side.
You have to do it to the other.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so I'm just left with a z over here. And what, Cameron, what is 7 divided by 3.5? Two, yes it is.
2 with a dot behind it.
Yeah, but we could just write 2. Perfect. Okay, so what is happening with this variable?
It is over next to something.
So it's being multiplied. Who said it?
Me.
Good job. That's correct. So we're going to do the opposite, which is divide. But remember, when you divide by a fraction, you keep, change, flip. So we're going to multiply both sides by the flip. So write this down. What happens to these friends next to the x? They cancel each other out. And then on the other side, I could just multiply my fractions. Multiply the top numbers, multiply the bottom numbers. What is 5 times 3? 15. Ooh, that was fast, Tiffany. What is 6 times 2? Whoa. Tiffany's on fire today. Okay, 15 over 12. That, you could leave it right there, and I would accept that as your answer. Or we could reduce it if we could think.
To 5, 4.
How are you even doing this right now? That's right. If I divide them both by 3, it reduces to 5 over 4.
I love multiplying, so I get it really fast.
Oh, you're so good at it. That's awesome. Okay, so either of those would be accepted as the answer to this problem by me, okay? Once you get into harder math, then we'll have to start doing the bottom answer all the time and always reducing it, but for now we can do either one, okay?